Story time! Let's talk about the ROI of personal branding. Now, it's been difficult for me because I tend to overthink everything. Anxiety, childhood trauma. That's not what this video is about. When it comes to building a personal brand, I want to share a personal story that reflects on the return on investment on creating the content that you so desperately want to create but are overthinking that you shouldn't. So hear me out. It's always been a dream of mine to move to Mexico City, and unfortunately I wasn't able to get the visa, which is the temporary resident visa, which allows you to showcase that you are capable of living in Mexico City without taking away jobs from locals, right? That's okay. Just fun fact, when you're from Trinidad, you don't need a work visa to be here if you're here for less than 6 months. So from 6 months less, you don't need a visa, a tourist visa. So I moved here with a dream. I'm gonna learn Spanish. I'm going to be in a city and explore. So I initially booked an Airbnb for a month. I extended it for another month because I wanted enough time to look for an apartment. So within my anxious self, I did what I usually do. I joined all the Facebook groups. There's like roomies for the city. There are mujeres, which is female only. There's a group for apartments that accepts mascotas, which is pets. So I incessantly kept scrolling. I asked friends, I checked groups. I'm like, oh my God, am I gonna find the place that I want? So what I find works best for me when I'm like overwhelmed by stuff is I make a list. So I made a list and I put the top 3 non-negotiables for this place that I want. The first thing was I wanted space for my stuff, as well as I needed my own bathroom. So that space with the bathroom is, kind of one and the same. I wanted someone who has a cat, really. I wanted to be able to have, because I brought my cat from Trinidad, I wanted to be able to have him be accepted and the person doesn't have an issue. And finally, I wanted a roommate who's from Mexico so I can get some insight into what it really is to be Mexican, because so often you can go to a country and only have friends from expat communities, and I've met people who've been here 5-6 years. They don't know how to speak Spanish, so you've moved here 5 years ago and basically have communities that only speak English. So those are my top 3 things: space with my own bathroom, having my cat, and having a local person. So when I decided to really be aggressive about this thing, I took a week off and I was like, I'm gonna search, I'm gonna start, right? So I saw this person posted on Facebook some photos, and it was just, the place just looked great. It's like, okay, let me go check this out. Before I did, I just messaged the person and we messaged back and forth, and I shared my Instagram account just so they know that I'm not a serial killer. And it was interesting because the first thing she said was like, wow, this is pretty cool. I would love to share my home with you. And I was like, okay. Bear in mind, this is the very first place that I'm making an attempt to see. And I reached to this apartment building, got let up by the security guard. And from the time she opened the door, and it was just a great apartment. And turn in right, there's a living room, turn in left, there's another living room. I'm like, girl, you have 3 living rooms. This is insane. But for a city, it's definitely a massive apartment. So I was like, okay, we can live our lives separately and mesh it if we wanted to. So I sat down in her living room and she was she was interviewing someone else because I was a little early, and I'm sitting there. Her cat just basically, I didn't feel it. I was just like looking at my phone, and I just felt this thing come and sit on my lap, and I'm like, girl, we trying to do to me. Anyways, fast forward to, we had our first conversation, we spoke, she told me why she wanted to have a foreigner live with her, because she wanted to have a different perspective. I thought it was pretty cool. I went home and I was like, oh my God, this is the first place I've seen. Like, this is not, I should see other places, shouldn't I? And I just couldn't sleep. Like, I got up at 2 in the morning thinking about it, and I was like, this is the place for me. So I still had to go over the hurdle because I'm thinking, she doesn't know me. I don't have references. I do have some references because when I was in remote year, but these people all speak English, right? And I did have one person from Mexico that I was thinking about asking, the person who was in charge of us. So I had all these sort of plan B, plan C in my head. So then I was like, hey, I've decided I wanted to take it. What do I need to give you? and I reached out to my friends. I'm like, hey, I may need you to do a letter of reference. And what I found interesting is I'm prepping for this. We're talking about the contract and so forth. And I was like, hey, I have my friends and they're ready. I'm going to create an Instagram group and invite you so they can share with you that I am someone who is legitimate, and all I want to do is experience Mexico City and learn Spanish. And these are the words that she said to me that I think really put some weight behind the work I've been doing over the years. And she's like, I trust you. And in the back of my mind, I was like, girl, you don't know me. Because we met once, we spoke once, but she saw my LinkedIn profile, she saw my Instagram account, and she started following me, seeing my Instagram stories, and that was evidence of content creation, opening opportunities for me that I would never have otherwise, because I don't know what these steps would have been if I didn't have a strong personal and business brand online. So I'm sharing this with you to let you know that investing in content creation for your business may not directly have, I post something on Instagram at 8 a.m. and by 10 a.m. I'm gonna have a sale. You have to look at this differently and understand that you're building a brand for yourself. If you are doing this from a personal perspective, I think for me, I didn't grow up in college. I didn't have the opportunity to. This is not a humble brag. I wanted to, but I didn't because, my parents couldn't afford to or whatever. But ultimately, I'm using social media to bridge a gap between what I would have thought impossible and what I'm able to accomplish. So I hope this not just inspires you to go and start creating content, but gives some sort of direction and insight into what's possible when it comes to creating content online. So good luck and nothing but success for you, man. I'll see you soon.